you happy. A very good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to all for the fifth day of ACTE-sponsored short-term training program on Tableau Data Visualization Tool for Researchers. Today, our first session will be on calculations in Tableau. It will be handled by Mr. Prashant Ahuja. Now, I request Ms. Rajeshwari to introduce our resource person.
I feel glad in introducing our resource person, Mr. Prashant Ahuja, Senior Research and Data Analyst, to the gathering. Mr. Prashant is a mid-career knowledge and analytics service professional with over 5 years of quasi-consulting work experience. His expertise in research engagement, management consulting, big data analysis, and much more. He has started his career as an intern at Ambition Lee Resource Private Limited and then moved on to the Smart Cube to become a senior strategy and data analyst, where he specialized in capturing insights from databases such as Thomson One, Bloomberg, and Capital IQ. He has handled end-to-end project management for PE and retail and consulting for US and the UK-based clients. Then he moved to London as an on-site consultant for a steel manufacturer in the UK. He has get into various roles in global sourcing strategies, pure intelligence, price and operation benchmarking, market sizing, developing market entry strategies, spend analysis, and data visualization. It's a honor and privilege for us to have somebody who's a true pro in data analytics. Thank you for joining us today in spite of your busy schedule, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the glorious introduction, ma'am, and welcome everybody to your fifth day of data visualization for researchers session. I must congratulate the faculty for doing this. It's a wonderful thing that you are investing your time and resources into something like this. I must really say this is the need of the hour. This is something very relevant in the industry, and when you professors teach the students, they become all the more ready to take up new challenges in the market. Very thank you to all of you for having me here for this opportunity. Special thanks to Anand sir for being incredibly kind to coordinate all of this. So thank you, sir. Just to give you a flavor of what's going to happen today, we're going to study two topics, and I'm going to take two sessions with all of you. The first would be the calculations in Tableau, and the second would be visualizations. To understand additions, we need to understand calculations. So if you pay a lot of attention in the session one, which is calculations, session two is going to be very easy. Today is the fifth day, and I must take an assumption that all of you are already comfortable in the basic Tableau. Let me tell you something about this software. It's obviously a visualization software. We all have been working on this for the last 5 days. It's a wonderful technique to data, but let me also put up a word of caution here. Tableau can only help you to make charts and graphs and dashboards and stories. The next part, which is the analysis, is the most difficult part. Tableau is just a mean, a way, a source to get to the final results. So let me tell you, when I'm dealing with my clients in the organizations I work for, I would say that 80 to 90% of the part is the analysis, and only 10 to 20% of it is building the dashboards. So yes, it is important, but please do not overrate the word of analytics. Tableau is just a way to take you to the final results and analysis. So that was about Tableau. Ma'am already described who I am and what I do. I'll just add a little more points to that. While in my career in India, while I was based in the Smart Cube, I had, and while I'm speaking of this, I'll take you through various examples in today's session of how the various visualization tools would help you understand that the importance of a visualization tool in the world of analytics. And while I moved to London, I worked with the sourcing managers in the category management role. Again, you would realize how important it is for you to work for your to management to organize your ideas and thoughts in a very, very subtle and a presentable manner so that it is very, very easy to understand. So with all your permission, may I please share my screen and so that we can begin the session? Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Great. Uh, Before we begin, I must say that please take very good care of yourselves. The cases in India and Tamil Nadu are rising, so please be very cautious. Stay in your homes. Please take good care of yourself and your families and your loved ones, and hopefully we all will come out of this stronger and better. With this positive note, let's begin. I'll give you a quick recap of what Tableau looks like, and then we'll move into calculations. So I'm sure, very sure that all of you are comfortable with this. While I'm doing these things, please do it simultaneously. Uh, this session, I want to make it interactive. Please give as many questions and doubts as you have in the chat box, and I'll answer. I'll be able to answer majority of them. Please raise your voice. Please unmute yourself and say the question and interrupt me anytime you want. Because if it's a monologue, then it's no learning. It's not useful because at the end of the session, I want you to get a quick, solid grasp. This session is going to be a little more difficult, a little more worthy of your attention than the previous basic sessions which you have done with other resource persons. This would involve certain calculations, certain formulas, certain 3D figures. So I request your attention and let's begin. Uh, the topic for today is calculations in Tableau. What do you mean by calculations? In Excel, I'm sure a lot of you would have worked in Microsoft Excel, and it's a great tool to do our stuff, whatever analysis we want to do in Microsoft Excel. Tableau is something which is way bigger and beyond what Microsoft Excel is. Excel would require you to manually put in formulas and do a lot of coding in the backend. Tableau is an advanced version and it does the hard work itself. It gives you the result right in the click of certain buttons, and you do not have to care about, you do not have to worry about the coding in the backend. So for people like me, coming from the commerce background, who are not very comfortable with the coding aspect, you need not to worry at all. This visualization tool would not require coding, but you just need to understand how it happens, and then it's all yours. So quick table calculations in Tableau. What are quick table calculations? Does anybody have an idea of, or in the last previous sessions, have you heard of term called quick table calculations? Please feel free to put your response in the chat box. Jitendra Sharma, sir, you mentioned that you know. Could you just mention what do you understand by quick table calculations? If maybe sir could be given an option to unmute himself and say a few words, that would be really great. The field which is not present in the data. Well, actually, sir has said in a very few words, but it's a big statement. The field which is not present in data, it could mean a lot of things. It could mean preparing a calculated field. It could mean preparing and working on a parameter, and we are going to cover both of this in this session ahead. For now, thank you, sir, for your response. I would say it's partially correct, but at the end of the session, you would definitely know why I say that. So let me tell you about quick table calculations. Let's say you're working on a huge amount of data. Sometimes the numbers in itself do not make a lot of sense, right? So let's say you're working, I mentioned I work in the pen organizations, and I was working in a steel company, and you could imagine the amount of money they used to spend in 1 year. It was in millions and billions. So can you tell me that, hey, look, say bearing is a category. Bearings account for $7.7 million of spend. What does this number mean? It means nothing, right? unless and until I have a benchmark, I have a comparison to some other categories, only then I would be able to know whether this is a high selling item, whether it's a high cost item, and what do I do next? How do I take it to a little less spend, to a little more efficiency, until and unless I have a term as simple as a percentage. We all use percentage in our daily life. How do we calculate those? So if you look at this figure, we have this data, and I'm using these sample superstore data, which all of you are very familiar with. If you see, this furniture is accounting for 35%, office supplies is 25%, and technology is 39%. Uh, what if there are only three categories? What if there were 300 and I would have given you only the exact absolute numbers? It would have been difficult for us to make sense there, right? So how do we, this is a very basic thing, quick table calculation to calculate a percentage. So as and when I take examples going forward, the difficulty level is going to shoot up. So I'm starting from very simple calculations part. So let's learn how to build something like this, how to create a calculation field. So choose any dimensions, and I'm sure you know about dimensions. Dimensions is any string value which is in the data. So let's say you pick up product category, you pick up sales. You just need to double click or drag and drop it in the rows, and just double click on sales. You would see Tableau automatically doing the hard work for you. Uh, Now these are absolute numbers. Now we do not have the percentages yet. How do we calculate percentage? Now, wherever you have put in the text column, the sum of sales here, and if you move your mouse over this, you will see a small arrow on the right hand side of this button. Just click on that, go to quick table calculations in the lower bottom, and choose percentage of total. And you would see that this particular table has been converted into percentages. How do we did that? How do we do that? I'll repeat again. Just simply drag and drop your relevant measures and dimensions which you want to work on. On the text part, on the numeric value, on the measure value, just click on the small arrow which would come up on the right hand side of this button. Go to quick table calculation and add percentage of total. Now, this is a very, very basic example. We're going to learn much more than this in the next few minutes. So just let's lay a solid foundation. Now, what if I want to see the total? Of course, it's 100%. I'll go to analysis. On the toolbar on the top, I'll go to analysis. I'll go to totals, and I'll say add column grand totals. Now, the grand total, of course, is going to be 100% because we're dealing with percentages here. This is a very basic example of how we calculate percentage. Now let's look what else can we do. Now, as I mentioned that in an organization where you're working in large amount of data, the data could be as huge as you won't believe that it won't come in an Excel sheet. It won't be accommodated in Microsoft Access. Excel would have certain limitations. Microsoft Access has certain limitations. So we move into R, we move into different methodologies and tools. Uh, what if we are looking for something where we want to present the figures to the top management, let's say the CEOs of our company. And while we're doing this session, let's all consider to be themselves to be a part of an organization working for the management, CEOs, and eventually for your clients. So what if you want to present something like this? The sales of a particular subcategory, the categories might be different in different companies, and the percentage of the total sales. I want to see the sales, I want to see the percentage together in a chart, so that I can say that, hey, this much amount accounts for this percentages. This could be very, very useful and meaningful for somebody like a senior vice president or the CEO of a company, because he or she would not have a lot of time to dig deeper in the data, and it's going to be our job, the department of analytics job, to present something in a very meaningful and a very understandable manner. So let's learn how to create this, wherein you have the absolute figures represented in a graph as well as the percentages figures. This is again a basic part. So let's learn how to do this. It's a product category and sales. We'll choose product category in the dimension. Let's choose sales. Let's choose product subcategory instead. Let's choose sales. Now you would see that the values have been loaded. Now from the show me tab, I'll choose a bar chart, right? A simple bar chart as you would have studied in the previous sessions. And if I choose this tool, what will it do? It will swap the rows and columns for us. It will convert a vertical chart into a horizontal chart and a horizontal chart into a vertical chart. So I'll swap this for all of us. We see this chart is in a manner which is representing the sum of sales. Now what I'm going to do here is something important. So I request your attention. I'll pick up the sales field from the measures, the numeric value once again, and I'll drag and drop it right next to the initial sales button, which I put into rows. Now you see that the product category is into columns and the sum of sales has been put up twice in the rows. And this is the reason we now have two charts. Now both of these charts are right now representing the same thing. You would see that the charts are exactly the same with no difference whatsoever. What we want to achieve now is important. We want that the first chart should represent the absolute values and the second chart should represent the percentage value. Now in the marks column, if you see, and I hope everybody is working simultaneously, and it's the best way of learning, so just keep doing and keep interrupting me whenever you are not able to do something, and I'll repeat. In this column, you see the sum of sales here coming up twice. And if you click the first button, these options would be applicable to the first chart and the second button would be applicable to the second chart. So whatever changes you make here would go in the first, whatever changes you make in this button would go in the second chart. So let's go to the first one. I'll pick up sales. Okay, tell me, and I want to test whether you are, you remember what you studied in the previous session. How do we put up the numeric value in the chart? What is the way that I want to put the values over the top of the charts? How do I populate the values? Let's say if I do not have this legend and I want this figure to be represented top, how do I do that? Labels. Great, Rupina ma'am. How do I? Anybody would want to say what do I put into labels to achieve this? Labels is absolutely the right answer. Which field should I drag and drop into labels so that the values are represented, the sales values are represented? Of course, the sales figures. Whatever values we want to pick up, that's great, Rubina ma'am. Thank you for your answers. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up sales and we're going to drag and drop into labels. Now you see that the absolute values of sales figures have come up and are represented well. I'll do the same thing for the chart which is here in the bottom. I'll choose this button, the second chart. I'll pick up sales again and drag and drop into labels. Exactly same way we have done earlier. And now you would see that identical charts, same charts are represented. Now what we need to do, we need to again go to this small button as we did earlier and going to quick table calculations and say percentage of total. Very simple way of representing an absolute chart and a percentage chart, and when you want to see both numbers as well as the percentages together. But there's one more way to do this. If you do not want two charts, you can maybe pick up the sales figures, drag and drop into tooltips, and whenever you hover over this chart, you would see that the three particular fields which are represented whenever I move my chart or a particular bar, this sales product subcategory, this say percentage of sales along table across, and this says sales. So in a way, we can also do this, but the top management, the CEOs, the vice presidents would not have time to move your cursor on each and every bar to understand what percentage of this is accounting for. So this is the reason we produce something like this. So I hope everyone is clear till now, and this is a basic part. And if anybody would want me to repeat this, I'm happy to do that. Is everyone clear? All okay? Am I going too fast, too slow, or fine? Screen is breaking. Uh, is this? Please show how to add second chart. Sure. Thank you. I'll thank you for the query. I'll just show how to add a second chart. Any other queries which I can handle at the same time? Okay, I'll repeat this again. We'll put up subcategories. We'll double click on subcategories very simply to make a chart, a simple bar graph which you learned, I'm assuming in the previous sessions, and which you should have mastered. Double click on sales. This would show you the sales of each product subcategory. Now, the item which we have chosen could be product category, subcategory, uh, containers, anything which you are comfortable with. Go to the show me button and add a bar chart. Swap the rows and columns. Now, to answer your query, what we are going to do, we are going to add the second chart. And how do we do that? Just pick up sales again from the measures, drag and drop it right next to the sales in the rows. And that's how you add the second chart. And once there are two charts in your worksheet, you would see that this marks window would show up two times with the two basically buttons for the sum of sales. Now, if you click on the first one, this would represent all of the calculations, the color, size, labels, details, and tooltips for the first chart. The second button would represent all of these for the second chart. So whatever changes you make here would go here. Whatever changes you make in the first thing, the first button would go here. Did I answer your question? Great. Any more queries, anybody, or should we move forward? Please make it very interactive. I love addressing queries. I get to learn a lot from the questions which are asked by people. So please feel free to interrupt me as much as possible. I'm happy to answer all your queries. So screen is showing gray boxes in between. Uh, okay, I think probably this is because of the Zoom. I'll just remove. Is it fine, ma'am, now?
No, sir.
Great. That was the the Zoom feature. I just can you not see the screen now, ma'am?
No,
Okay.
sir. It's
Is it fine now?
no, sir.
See, I have. Uh, Okay, I see there's a problem. Give me 1 minute. I'll leave this meeting and join back again. So all of you, please stay here. I think there's some problem with the network, and I'll just fix it and be back in 1 minute. So sorry for this network glitch. I'll be back. Let me just leave this meeting and join back again. I hope this is fine, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Hello everyone. I'll just share my screen and I hope this problem will be resolved. Can you, ma'am, sir, can you please allow me to share my screen?
Just a minute, sir. Just a minute.
Yeah. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
And are there gray boxes appearing?
Yes.
Great. So I hope everybody is clear with these charts. And now we'll move forward. Sorry about the technical glitch. What we're going to learn now is a quick table calculation in a cross tab. Now, what is a cross tab? A cross tab basically is uh, when you present values in a table in a tabular format in Excel. In It's called a table. In Tableau, it's called a cross tab. So if you carefully analyze this, you would see product category, you would see product subcategory, you would see percentage, and then you will see the absolute values. Now, how do we do that? We need to build a hierarchy, as in the product categories would contain the subcategories, and then we want to see the totals. The total of this particular subcategory, the total for each categories, and eventually come up to 100%. So I should be able to analyze what percentage are my chairs and chair mats accounting for, what percentage the furniture category accounting for, that is 35%, and this 35% is a sum of all of this: books, chairs, office, and tables. So furniture as a total is 35%. Each individual subcategories are these. How do we calculate this? Now, this is something which we will learn how to do now. So let's see. Very simple again. We need to understand the data first. If we understand the data, we see that there are subcategories in each categories. So I'll double click on product categories. Now the product categories are furniture, office supplies, and technology. My product subcategories, if I double click, would be populated in a manner which appears in the data. All of these 7, 8 categories in the office supplies come here. The 4 categories in technology come here. The 4 in furniture come here. What I will do is I'll double click on sales, and you see that all of the sales of these have been recorded. I'll go to again this small arrow, go to quick table calculations and choose percentage of totals. Once again, I'll double click on sales, and this would give me the absolute values. Is it the best way to represent? No. Am I able to read? No. What do I do? What can I do more here? I can clearly see that books cases are 5.71%, chairs account for 13.01, tables are 11.86. But if I want to see what is the total of this furniture category, how do I do that? I'll go to analysis, go to totals, and say add all subtotals. Now, once you click on this button, you would see that this add all subtotals option gives you an option to see the overalls of the furniture, the overalls of the office supplies, the overalls of the technology, as well as the individual subcategories percentage. Now, this is the contribution of each subcategory to the total sales which the company has achieved. This is very important for a management to consider whether or not to continue a particular subcategory in a particular region, in a particular country, in a particular business unit. So, as I mentioned, that please think as you're sitting in a corporate environment, please think yourself as a member of the board, as a chief executive, and see if this data makes sense to you. Uh, you would definitely not have time to go to the raw data to see for yourself how to do things. You would only want people to come up with an absolute numbers, very easy to understand, very crisp and very nicely done, so that they can take decisions more effectively and efficiently. So this is the way to basically populate the percentages, the totals of each categories, each subcategories, and the absolute numbers. These were some of the basic things which I wanted to cover, and now we move to something a little more tricky. I won't say a lot tricky, but a little more something which is different than usual. Uh, Running total. Now, what we call running total is in Tableau is something like a cumulative number in our daily lives. So as we live in the COVID times, you see the numbers every day are adding up. The current number are somewhere around, if I'm not wrong, 38, 39 lakhs in the country. Now, what is this 38, 39 lakh number? This is a cumulative number. Now, it started from 1, it became 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakhs, and now 30 lakhs. This is a cumulative number. So why is this important? This is important for us to understand how the things have progressed or fallen in the last recent time period which we are considering. This becomes very important to consider things such as share price movement, to consider the performance of a country, of a company in a particular financial year or a fiscal year. So this becomes very important for us to calculate the cumulative numbers, the running total. How do we achieve something like this? Now, if you see that January would be same, because the cumulative for the first month would always be the same as the exact number. The February number represents January plus February. March is January, February plus March, and hence this way. So cumulative would be, of course, as we all know, the sum total of all the previous figures. How do we achieve this? How do we do this? Is what we are going to learn now. Let's go to a fresh sheet. Let's delete all our previous work. And if you studied your data, you would know that there is a column called order date. Now, if you double click on this order date, you would see the year order date come up. Now, in this button, there is a small plus sign which is there. If you click on this plus, the quarter field would appear. If you click on this plus again, the month field would appear. I only want month. So what I'll do is I'll drag and drop the years and drag and drop the quarters, and only the months remain, right? I'll repeat this. Just pick up orders date in the hierarchy, because it's years, quarters, months, and weeks. So what we will do is we'll click on this arrow, or on this plus sign. We'll click on this plus sign again, and now we are in the level of months. I'll just pick it up, drag it by my mouse, and drop it to somewhere outside of this worksheet. I'll pick this field, I'll drag and drop it again. So what remains is just the months. And if I double click on the sales, I would see that the numbers are represented, the total figures have come up, and the sum of sales in all the months are represented well. Now, how do I achieve a running total? How do I, bring a field which also shows me the cumulative numbers? Let's learn how to do this. I'll pick up the sales field again, and I request your attention here. We'll pick up the sales field again. We'll drag and drop it here. Now we'll click on this small button. We'll go to discrete. Now this time we will choose discrete because it's already in a continuous format. January, February, March, April. It's in a continuous format, and I want to make it discrete. I'll just click on discrete, and now you see that exact same values are represented here, right? But what the problem is that this is not in decimals and this is in decimals. So I want to remove the decimals part. So I'll go to this field, I'll say format, again the small arrow, go to format. In this format table, which would come up on the left hand side of the screen, go to numbers custom, and reduce the decimal places. And this is something very similar to what we do in Microsoft Excel. Just go to normal formatting, just reduce the decimal places to 0. Now you see that the exact same values are represented. Only one small step remaining. Just click on the small button, small arrow on this sum of sales. Go to quick table calculation and choose running total. And now you would see that the running total figure has been calculated. Uh, the February figure would be January plus February, the March figure would be January, February, March, the December figure would be the sum of all the months, and this would be equal to the total of this data. So how do we make sure that it's equal to the totals? Go to analysis, go to totals, and say show column grand totals. Now you would see that the figures in December, the cumulative figures match the exact totals, which means that our calculation is absolutely right and the cumulative total has come out right. So that's the running sum, that's the cumulative sum in Tableau. Any questions, any doubts, any queries here? Anybody would want me to repeat this? I hope the network is fine and you're able to see the screen properly. Any questions? Should I move on? No responses. I hope everybody's following up. You can see the screen. You can hear me. Yeah, great. Okay, I'll go on. Uh, the next thing we want to learn is simple average profits, count distance of customers. Now, what we're going to learn uh, is to create certain fields which are not right there in the data. Now, imagine you have received certain data sets from the client. The client tells you to solve a particular problem. The client tells you to identify the highly profitable categories for them. But the data is not complete, it's not in full shape. How do you do that? We must learn here the concept of calculated fields. What is a calculated field? Calculated field is a measure, is a way to create an another field in the data which already is not existing. There are two ways to do this. For example, I'll give you one example. We have the total profits in the raw data which we receive from our clients. What we do not have is, let's say, average profits, which is the total uh, number of profit divided by the categories. What we do not have is the average profits. Now, there are two ways to do it. Either you create a field called average profits in the raw data, and once you upload to Excel, it also contains the average profits. But this is very wrong way of doing this. And why I say this, because every time you would feel the need to have another field, you cannot go back to the raw data. You cannot keep on uploading the data again and again and damaging the work you have already done. The best way to do this is to introduce a calculated field in Tableau. Now you create a field which is not there in the raw data. It will appear in the Tableau and it will help you to analyze the thing which you are doing to do and fulfill the requirements. The calculated fields which appear in the Tableau would not show up in the raw data. The raw data would remain as is. No changes would come up there. It would only come up in Tableau. Very good, very effective way of learning how we do things. I'll begin with simpler example and then we'll create a certain complicated formulas. Average profit. Now, if you see this particular uh, subcategories, profits and average profits, you see that if I sort it by descending orders, the profits, the technology, telephones and communications, they account for the highest profits, 297,000, 2,97,000 rupees, if we assume the currency to be rupees. But the average profit here is only 300 rupees. On the other hand, the average profits in copiers and fax is 1,318 rupees, but the total profits is 129,000 rupees. Now, what does this tell me? This tells me that maybe I'm selling copiers and faxes less. Maybe I need to tap the new markets. Maybe I need to enter new areas. Maybe I need to target more customers. What does this tell me? That the highest profits appear in telephones and communications, but the low average profits come up. What does this tell me? What should I do next? Should I increase the profit margins because this product is high in demand and it's top selling product? Uh, Huge amount of profit coming in, but the average profit per item is less. How should I go about it? Now, this is the decision which obviously the management is going to take. But who is going to help them effectively take the decision? That's all of us. By bringing into light these kind of figures to them. Uh, and this is the reason we're learning to analyze stuff. And as I said, that analysis part is the most important. Building a chart is simple. So let's learn how to build this chart, and of course we'll keep the analysis part uh, for the later part. Let's see how do we create these fields. You go to a new sheet. Now, how do we create a calculated field? Now, if you see this small arrow here on the dimensions, just click on that and say create calculated field. And this something like this window would pop up, and you could choose any of these formulas. Most of them even I haven't used in my life, so we'll talk only of those which are important today, considering the limited time we have. We're going to calculate average profits. I'm going to name this field as average profit for September. Right? Now the syntax we are going to use. What is the syntax in Microsoft Excel for average profits? It's a complete is equal to average, AVERAGE. But here it's slightly different. Just type AVG on your Tableau, and this figure would come up in the recommendations tab. It would show you the functions AVG. Just click on that, and Tableau would then ask for the expression. What is the expression? What do you want to calculate average for? You want to calculate average for profit. Now what do? We'll say average, and in the expressions I will say profits. We need to choose the profit from the recommended window. If we just type profit, it won't give you any results. We need to give Tableau a particular field. We need to tag a field here, and only then we can achieve the desired results. So average AVG, we then click AVG on the recommended window, and then if we type PRO, it will give us the profit fields and all the fields which starts with these numbers, but we need the average of profit. So I'll choose profit, and it would give me the average profit. It says the expected closing or comma. Just give me a second. Why is this showing an error? Okay, and then we need to close the bracket. Now this is something very important. Now if your formula is not complete, the Tableau would always show that the calculation contains error. This is one brilliant feature. And if you click on this, what is the error? The Tableau says that it is expecting a closing parenthesis. So it tells me that, hey, you haven't put in bracket at the end of the formula. So once I put this bracket, it shows me that the calculation is valid. So very simply, average profit, I need to choose average from the recommended formula window, and I need to choose profit from the recommended fields window. Only then this calculation would show up, and I'll say okay. Now since these are numbers, now you would see a field called average profit for September coming up in the measures. Now why this has come in the measures? Because it's a numeric value. If it had been a string value, it would have come up in the dimensions tab. Now this is a field, and if you see that whenever you create a calculated field in the measures tab, uh, in front of this hashtag sign there would be an is equal to sign. So Tableau would tell you that, look, this is a field which was not existing in the raw data. This is the field that you have created using the calculated field functionality in Tableau. So an is equal to sign would represent the field which are made by you using the calculated field functionality. Now it's simple. All we need to do is let's choose product subcategory. Let's choose average profit, the field which we have right now created, and then let's choose profit. You would see that averages come up, the profits come up. You could arrange in ascending or descending order by clicking on this small button on the top. So it shows that telephones and communications account for 297,000. If you arrange the average profits in descending order, it would show you the copiers and facts uh, being the highest average profit category. So that's a very simple way of introducing a field which is already not there in the raw data, which is important for your calculation. You do not want to go back to the raw data. You do not want to create a field and create a have every time you identify the need of a new field. You can very well do it in the raw data. You can upload and refresh the main data, and this field would come up in measures automatically. But it becomes a very inconvenient way when after every 1 hour you would realize that you need another field. So calculated fields become really helpful there to calculate the results there. I hope this is clear. Any questions, any queries here? I request all of you to speak up to give me the answers whether we're going right or we're not understanding. We are going too fast or we're too slow. Okay. So I hope, thank you, ma'am, for your answer. Great. Uh, Moving on, we'll learn about calculated fields. Now, this is something called count and count distinct. Now, what is count and count distinct? Now, let's say you are an e-commerce company. Let's say you are an Amazon, and you work in the category management department. For each category, you need to understand how many customers exist in this particular category, right? If you go to the raw data and if you count the number of items, let's say 1,000 items have been purchased. Now, is this 1,000, the number 1,000, is this the total amount of customers on this category? There might be a situation when one customer would have done this transaction multiple times, right? You might have purchased the same thing 5 times. I might have purchased the same things 10 times. What's the distinct count of customers? What are my unique customers? So let's learn how to create count and how to create distinct count so that we understand which category do we need to work on further, which category should I work to tap more customers and to ensure that my product is continuously selling. Let's learn how to create something like this, and we'll learn how to create this difference of count and count distinct. Let's go to a separate sheet. Again, it's a calculated field. You need to click on the small arrow. I'll show you again. On the small arrow and say count of customers. And in your dimensions, there's a field called customer name. So let's count how many names are there. Of course, I cannot physically manually count the number of items in the raw data. You can maybe do it in Excel by just selecting the column you're working on. But let me be very clear: the volume of data we work on day in and day out is not sufficient for the capacity of Microsoft Excel. We often end up into different platforms because it is usually not the best way to accommodate the large data sets. How do we count the customer? A very simple formula: count, COUNT, as the name is. You say count, you press tab or you choose with click of the mouse, and you choose the field customer name. So once you type in customer, the Tableau would give you a list, the recommended list, wherein this uh, string value would come up. And from the recommended tab, you choose the customer's name. count of customers name. That's it, nothing else. And this field will give me the count of the total customers. Now you would see that there is a field called count of customers appearing up in the measures. Now what I want to do is count of distinct customers. I'll go to this small arrow again. I'll create a calculate field and I'll name this as count of distinct customers. Now for count, I had the function called count, C-O-U-N-T. For count distinct, I will have count D, C-O-U-N-T and D. So there's a function called count D, which means the unique values in the data set. And I say customers name. This would give me the distinct count of customers name. For example, if I have purchased an item, if Prashant has purchased an item once, it is one value. If I have purchased it 5 times, the total number of customers would be 5, but the count distinct of customer would still be 1 because I'm the same person, right? And now if you choose product subcategory, you choose the count of customers, you double click on distinct count of customers, you would see how this could be useful. You could see that in appliances, there are 492 total count of customers, which means that this particular item has been purchased 492 times, whereas the distinct count is only 444, which means that 50-60 transactions were repeated transactions, which were done by multiple times by the same customers. So a useful way of doing a quick analysis on count and count distinct. This becomes also very helpful when you are dealing with suppliers. So I was working in the procurement department, as I told you, with the steel manufacturer, and the category manager would always come to us to ask the number of suppliers in a particular category. Now, the role of a procurement department, and if anybody of you are from the procurement of your college, you would understand that you only get maximum discounts if you increase the volume of purchases with a particular suppliers. If I purchase items in bulk, only then the supplier is going to give me the more discount. So if I know the count of suppliers in a particular category, if the count is too much, I'll try to reduce it to bare minimum so that I can probably get more discounts. I can probably procure the items in a more efficient manner. So this count and count distinct becomes really helpful in those cases. So this was another count and count distinct thing. We have done average profits. We have done count distinct. Now comes really important, and I request the attention of all of you here. Manager's name field, right? Let's say there's a particular category, and some of the managers have been assigned those categories. Now this field does not appear in the raw data. What if I want to create a field wherein I assign particular categories to a certain resource person? Right. What if I want to create certain functionality wherein I want to say, let's talk of your colleges. Let's say if you want to assign the business analytics department to Anand sir, your commerce department to somebody else, your marketing department to somebody else, your accounts to somebody else. So how do you create those fields in Tableau? Let's learn, and this is going to be a little tricky. So please bear with me, and please stop me whenever you feel that you did not understand well, and I'm happy to repeat it as many times you want me. Let's create another calculated field. Create calculated field, and this time we are creating a manager's name field, right? Now we're going to use an if formula. Are you all, I hope you all must have used the if function in Microsoft Excel sometimes in your lives. This is going to be similar, but a little different. Now, what I want to say that let's choose product category. We have three categories: furniture, we have office supplies, we have technology. I want to say that for furniture, in this particular company, I will be responsible. For office supplies, let's say somebody else is responsible. For technology, number C is responsible. How do I create that field? So if you try to understand in layman's language, if the category is furniture, then the manager is Prashant. If the categories is office supplies, the manager is Anand sir. If the category is technology, the manager is this person. Now we're going to create this field as we have just said. We'll use the if function. Just I request your attention here. If product category, now you choose the product category field. Now you say if product category is equal to furniture. Now this is slightly different way of introducing a formula in Excel or in Tableau. If product category is equal to furniture, we introduce a function called then. Then in the double quotes, I will write Prashant. Now what I have done here is I have asked Tableau that the field I'm creating, the manager's field name, the calculated field I'm creating, should appear in such a way that whenever I say that in this product category, if it's furniture, then my name should pop up next to furniture. When you type in product category, this is the field. When you type in the furniture, it is the text value and therefore it is in double quotes. Tableau will never accept any string value without a double quote. Once you type in a string value, make sure it is very case sensitive. It is exactly how it appears in the raw data. Because if it is not case sensitive, if there are spelling errors in the formula you put in, Tableau will not give you results. So it is case sensitive. We need to be careful of the spellings. We need to be careful of the double quotes, which we definitely have to put in a string value. When you go to the second line of the formula, you do not use the if function here. You introduce another function called else if. Now, in the first line we wrote if product category is equal to furniture, then Prashant. Now I will say else if product category equal to office supplies, then what is my manager's name? Let's say Anand, right? In the third line, I want to assign a manager to technology. Now, if you see the product category field, there are only three fields: furniture, office supplies, and technology. For furniture, I've already allocated my name. If product category equal to furniture, then Prashant. For office supplies, I've already allocated Anand sir's name. If product category is office supplies, then Anand sir. Now, because only one field is pending, that is technology, I do not need to write the else if function. I'll just write a else function because Tableau knows that of the three values, two have already been allocated, only one is remaining, and that's technology. Tableau will understand itself. So I'll say else, will say A, B, C. And in the end, you do an end function. And the calculation is valid, right? So I'll repeat this. If product category is equal to double quotes furniture, then double quotes Prashant. Else if product category is office supplies, then unanswered in double quotes because it's a string value. In the third line, because we already allocated two of the three product categories, we will say else ABC or any other name which you want to put here. And in the last, you will put up an end function so that Tableau knows from your end is complete. Just click OK. What we now see, manager's name would come up on the dimensions because it's a string value. And if you double click on the dimensions pane, you would see that the manager's names have been allocated. Now, what if I want to do an analysis on the manager's name level? I can do this. I can see what managers are accounting for what amount of sales. I see that ABC accounting for 35 lakh rupees of sales. Anand is accounting for 22 lakhs, and I'm accounting for 31 lakhs. So you can sort it by ascending and descending order. You can now create a chart using this field. You can do whatever analysis which you want to do in a calculated field which you just formed. So using the if, then, else if, and function, you created a field which was already not existing in the raw data, which was already not there, which you do not want to put in the raw data and update the W again and again. You just created a W calculated field, and there the results are. So is everyone clear of this? I know this could be a little tricky and some of you might want me to repeat this. So if anybody of you wants me to repeat this or you have any queries, please feel free to ask. Should I repeat this or are you all clear? Clear. Great. Uh, okay. So I see everybody of you is clear. Uh, I just will show you the calculation once again in case some of you want to copy this down or see. If product category is furniture, then the manager in double quotes. Else if product category is office supplies, then the manager's name. In third line we introduce a function called else, and in the last we will say end. Now in case you commit a spelling error, in case you do not put a double quotes, tab you will say, let's say if you remove this, Tableau will say the calculation contains error and it will not accept this calculated field, unterminated string. So Tableau says that your string is not complete, you need to complete this, and now it says the calculation is valid. So very important if then else and else if function. So in this small function we have introduced 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 functions. So really important way, and once you do it all day, you would realize that this is a very important functionality of Tableau, and this comes handy probably every hour you do this. Uh, then we move on. This was something called calculated fields. Now, what is a parameter? Uh, Anybody of you, are you aware of the term called parameters in Tableau? Have you heard it? Have you listened it from any of the previous resource persons? What is a what is the difference between a calculated and a parameter? Anybody of you would like to answer? Okay, so since nobody of you answered, not recording, that's fine, absolutely fine, man. I'll say a parameter is something which is different from calculated field in the way that uh, when you use the filters in the in the Tableau, you, for example, I'll just help you to create a filter. When you put product category in this filter, this would appear up here, and you can then probably do the analysis at this product category level. You can choose one of the three fields, two of the three fields, three of the three fields from this particular filter. But can you put any measure value in the filter? You cannot put any measure value in the filter. What if you want to create a, a field wherein you want your users to only have one chart but to have an option to navigate between different measures. Just as a filter would allow you to navigate between different dimensions, what if you want to navigate between different measures? So that is the essential functionality of a parameter. And let's learn how to create a parameter and how it solves the problem for us and what are the uses for this feature. So let's learn, and I would request all of your attentions here because this is going to be a little tricky once again. Let's learn how to create a parameter. A very simple way, you just need to click on this small arrow, and as you create a calculated field, we need to click on create parameter. Once you choose on this parameter, you can name a parameter, and I'll show you top n. What I'm going, okay, let me just show what I'm going to do first. I would request the participants to be on mute, and in case you have any questions, please feel free to unmute. Yeah. Let me show you what we're going to do in parameters. Right. Let's study the top n parameters. Now, often you would come across situations wherein you want to study the what are your top customers, who are your top suppliers. Give me the top 5 customers, give me the top 5 suppliers. Without giving your managers, without giving your seniors, without giving your clients a long list of names, a long list of suppliers, what they want is to navigate themselves and to choose the analysis themselves. You need to create a field called top n. What this would do, if you see this meter on the right hand side, now this is a parameter, and this currently shows 6 here, and these are the top 6 customers of this company. If you click on this button, it now shows 11. So these are the top 11 customers of this company. If you click again, these are the top 15, 16 values. If you only want to see the top 5, the top 6, bring it down to 6, bring it down to 1. Who is my top customer? How do you create something like this in Tableau? This is essentially the function of a parameter, and let's learn how to build this one. Right, let's go to a fresh sheet. We will go to this small arrow once again, a very useful arrow you see. Just click create a parameter. We'll name this parameter as top n because that's essentially what we're trying to do here. Now what we're going to do, now because the data type we're dealing with is an integer, as I showed you, once you click on 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, since they're all numbers, they're all integers, we'll click on integer. We'll say top n integer value. The current value let's pick up as 1. We'll go to an option called range here. We'll say minimum of 1, that's minimum of 1 customer. So my meter will show at least the top value, the top customer, the top supplier. I want that the maximum should be 100. I can choose 200, I can choose 300 depending upon the volume of the data. And what is the step size? I'll say 5. Now what is the step size? The step size is basically once you click on that meter, what are the next few numbers which are going to pop up? So if the current value is 1, and if you click on that meter, how many more is it going to show? Step size is 5. How many more it is going to show? After 1, it will bring you to the 6. If you click again, it will bring you to 11. If you bring again, it will bring you to 16. And if the step size is 10, after 1, if you click on that meter, it will take you to 11 values, another 21 values, and then 31 values. So let's put 5 for the time being. You say OK. And as there are 2 major fields in the left hand side of the screen, dimensions and measure, once you create a parameter, these third window would come up in a separate tool saying parameters. Now what we need to do is click on the parameter which you have created and right click on this and say show parameter control. On the right hand side of this screen, this meter would come up. You see this is functioning 1, 10, 16, 21. But right now, since there are no values associated to this meter is not functioning. Now, how do we link our uh, the analysis which we're going to do to this parameter? Since we're dealing with customers, let's go to the customers field. We have customers name, we have the total spend, sales. Now these are my top customers. Now if I click on this parameter, it still does not work. Why it does not work? Because right now I haven't even linked this parameter to this field. How do we do that? Uh, let's learn. It's something little different, so please pay attention. Click on the small arrow once again. Go to filter, go to top. In this top menu, go to by field. In this, choose top n, the parameter which you have created, and by sum of sales. Now, what we are telling this function, this filter here is whenever I click on the top n filter, give me the value in the meter in terms of the total number of sales. So if you click OK, and now you will see that this has come up to only one customer because the meter shows one. If you click it again, it now shows 6 because this is what is represented here. If you now double click again, it is now 11, and likewise. So that's the use of this parameter. I will repeat this whole exercise because I understand this could be a little tricky. From this parameter, you need to go to parameter. You need to learn how to create a parameter first before linking it to the field which you are making. Name this parameter whatever you want to name. Since we're dealing with the integer values, choose integer from the data type. Current value, put it as 1 or 5, whichever is the minimum value you want to see or you want to show to your audience. Go to the range, choose minimum as 1, maximum as 100, 200, 300, depending upon what your needs are, and then choose a step size. Now, step size would be, as I mentioned, that the differential from the first to the second value. How many more you want to see when you click on that arrow button on the meter of this parameter. You say OK, and double right click on this and say show parameter control. The parameter would appear on the right hand side of the screen, but it would not function because right now you haven't linked any to it. Now we go to customer's name. We double click on customer's name. We double click on sales. We sort it by descending order. We go to the customer's name and we go to filter. In the filter, we go to top, by field, top n. Now this should be the parameter which you are creating and which appears on the right hand side of the screen. Top n by sum of sales, and say OK. And now this would give you the results which you want. If you click 1, it will show 1. If you click 6, 6, 11, nice. Any questions, any concerns, any queries here? Anybody of you would want me to repeat this? I hope you are all practicing it as simultaneously. Great, thank you, Rubina ma'am. Thank you, Priya ma'am. It's great for understanding all of it, and I hope you are practicing it simultaneously. I see some of the people are requesting you to put up the feedback, so please do that as requested. Uh, we have one more parameter to cover, but let's take a small break before we do that. This might be, I don't want this to be overwhelming. Once we come back from the break, let's say 15 minutes, we will learn to create one more parameter. This is going to be a little tricky once again, and then we'll move to a little fun oriented session, which is making advanced visualization. So it's close to 11:22 now. I think we can meet around 11:35, 11:40. We should take a 15 minutes break. Uh, I would request you to go sip your coffee, sip your teas. We will be back. Please take any queries, any problems which you have. If you want me to repeat any of the things which we discussed now, I will be happy to do that. We'll discuss one more parameter, and then we will take up the advanced visualizations. So it's 11:25. It's close to 11:25. Let's get back at 11:40. Any immediate questions you have before we go to this break?
Thank you so much, sir, for the interesting session.
Thank you.